Yo, Abushia, Yabamo Bibia Kwaba, na Abushia, and what ye be SC, Yen Yabaka say a branch as year 2024 elections in the way, no. Ablekuma North constituency, Abra regulation, El Cosono, a yadia, NPP Amoy Kunoba Bantebekase, original pin sheets, no, and yadia or mobi, name scan copies in the Akroma, East in so Bantebekase, and yadia Ablekuma North seats, and as Ablekuma North constituency, or Munsukula, a year. Original pin sheet and also more pin sheet in pool, oh baby, and Nabusha and the other sorry and cabin allegedly, you see, East in Ababontiabacase, a yadia that Ablekuma North constituency pin sheet and Anamuso Munino, and they Omon Santa, say ya, and they or more original pin sheet now, Electoral Media declare elections, Nabusha, as same way the Okakane saying, and I. Pin sheet I will say easy, usi winibin, and they dear, or say on San Etmiaka pin sheet, and now San Eka, a free for pin sheet, and on San Etmaka this time around. Ivan, say innocent, and I didn't same way, Abba, but to the Bushamin with tea time, Grand Mapper say, Obemia Konia the course in the Benasa Nebacono, make sure so one some Caribbean, or the best share your comment section, while I can share you Medino, Marfa Francis, into me and Kemi, Medamasi.
Innocent one here on YouTube. And the discussion I ever have is about Ghana's Electoral Commission. My dream about how I see Ghana's Electoral Commission. The mere fact that for by we ama a new president, and change the kind of opinion about the Electoral Commission of Ghana. That is a very incompetent, dangerous, biased institution, with arrogant individuals manning such a sensitive institution or more conduct, or may have the potential a bit more dragging this country into an annals of war. So we try election necessary now, but a new president by the tone, the posturing, the language, everything about the Electoral Commission suddenly as a man in it's just a way of finding some way be a me a secure job. That is essentially how Electoral Commission is playing. Don't be fooled by Jen Mensah's new conduct. Boss Manasare's humble conduct, and the fact they are all deceitful individuals. You can't take them serious, and that is my opinion about the Electoral Commissioners. Our Muguho Tete. Ekaho ena boss koku hwan koku omunyina sa no musubainte but and maybe take you to Ablekuma North and Electoral Commission I declare say they are going to do a rerun about 19 polling stations. I have listened to the side of the NPP. They are making an argument it's an illegal Electoral Commission any ho kwan say order re-election without set court and that particular order. And other side of the coin, the NDC stand ready for this election because party in the free said Obetimia win it and whole lot of back and forth. But my focus today is on the Electoral Commission as an institution, the credibility, everything here me as Ghanaian. And me assure say we also know ehian enti the Electoral Commission of Ghana and the focus and am no ye ba behwe omodwumadie ne de omoye because one institution ye ba go into 2024 elections and me catch us say ntokwa bi besi kroma ye kon bi besi kroma owu bi besi kroma ha na ye this Electoral Commissioner yakoto aba na mu nsensam esi ye and the clash, the misunderstanding, how long it took for them to come out to declare the presidential elections and several other stuff. Circumstances led to some of the constituency, ballot boxes to count, do recollation and declare new MPs when the earlier process now produce other MPs. So it was a whole lot of confusion. I culture in the 2024 election, the only thing stopping this country for tooling for a possible kind of political violence and the early declaration by Dr. Bawumia. sa and 10-term declaration be because you could see Sunday night tension was brewing in town because the Electoral Commission at that time excuse say party supporters Akuffo Electoral Commission office polling stations and so forth. So they were not getting the results and they fold their arms and a country race against tension. When the NDC by the time the NDC ne numbers in who say your friend is saying, wow, when the elections, not NPP, I calculations, who say, well, lose elections, now Electoral Commission, number back, crank number back. So you need to Electoral Commission, so I can talk what you will say. And fast forward at the Demua Babidru and Ablekuma. It's been 7 months now. Your friend is saying, Jane Mensa, and then the boss man, sorry, till date. They've not been able to produce your friend saying MP for the people of your friend saying Ablekuma North. And may sure say no because that has always been their game. Obakaya. The same gentleman say yana boss manasaru ya na ya kotwa ba amofa nyansa kwan so weekend and amokotwa a larger part of voter region from your friend saying a constituency and amokonaivo ya sebe ya MP the only seat the NPP nyaya in the voter region a seat ya your friend saying Peter your friend said was it Amenyo something a winner in the voter region. And that was the only seat, and that was a cunning strategy that was implemented by Peter Mewu. That was a cunning strategy deliberately, your friend is saying, put forward by the Electoral Commissioners way, and they said that could try that part in the film because there was no way Amewu was going to win that election. So a significant number of people in the voter region, Shah, Central Fie, Lolobi, and other places, you deny more representation for 4 good years after election. I was hoping that Electoral Commission started making sure that almost they deserve representation. But we sat in this country for the past 4 years. I kept talking about this particular issue to a point. I called it on Parliament. I was even telling the NDC side, they said they should even boycott parliamentary business until the Electoral Commission obey the need for. Yetena Akroma ahim for panimfo tena kamwana to Parliament obia kana no to my deny these people for 4 good years but in there hasn't been any legal remedy bia yet mitigate some of these things. So that is just by the way. Enti ababedru Ablekuma yakoto aba ye bisa a pink sheet or Electoral Commission send a pink sheet ayira. Who does that? Because you cannot just be making some of these funny justifications and get away with it unless you're mining you're serious, because the future and the destiny of this country hinge on the results in our polling station. So how on earth and the Electoral Commission better have a catch and say about one because for the ordinary and the average Ghanaian no could deal about casting the vote, you've been resourced adequately to make sure votes in any partner will be counted and will be recorded. That is the part the Electoral Commission couldn't do. And more culture and say add the pink sheet and then as a forma more the correct and the accurate figures. I war Ablekuma and the Ira chaos see here, and they will give you funny reasons as to why they think and some more kind of task. But we live in a country where people don't take responsibility even when they mess up. People who lead institutions can foolishly mess up in a manner. These are people who are adequately resourced and financed by the state, taxpayer money, and the other financier more. Amidst that, they are able to put up some of this massive incompetence and failure. At the end of the day, nobody takes responsibility. I've told you quite recently what happened in America when Donald Trump attempted assassination by the director of your friends' Secret Service was nowhere near the place, but I'm so ahead of the team. Now the team could not provide proper security for Trump. She was summoned before your friends' subcommittee in Senate. Almost for so man tender in the resignation. The beginning, she was fighting his own resign, but it got to a point that he had no other choice than to resign. That is how people take responsibility. But in our part of the world, such things don't happen. And suddenly you've seen the turnaround, and that is why I'm telling you. So you see, in politics, it's better to build credibility. Today, the NPP themselves is out there crying foul, shouting and insulting Jane Mensah and Bosman Asara for taking a decision. Say they are going to allow rerun. Suddenly, the Mensah part, the Electoral Commission, the NPP is accusing them of being in bed with the NDC now. It's very funny. That is how funny Ghana politics is. For the last 8 years, Jane Mensah and the Bosman Asara entertaining us for better Electoral Commission D Sabi and Semuhuna Abo Mine and Semuhuna Emma Ejato Maimu and Semuhuna El Robbie among four of their first legitimate representation in Parliament. Saanema way NPP not on a single occasion who nyansa kasa dia moye dangerous. I know I listen to Obish Chreme news portal be I say Abrante be a friend Kofi Bento say Electoral Commission is being biased. They say, oh really? Now you've seen the Electoral Commission is being biased for the last 8 years when these people were foolishly out there denying a constituency, a whole place, a legitimacy of representation. You never spoke about it. Was okay because it favored your political, your friends' interest. And then here we are. Now you've started accusing the Electoral Commission, but some of us are very consistent. My position is that Jane Mensah, Electoral Commission, Bosman Asara, they pose a significant danger to our democratization process, democracy, and electoral democracy. These individuals are cunning, dangerous individuals. They are not only incompetent, but they are very dangerous. Very disrespectful. They don't even know what they are doing at the Electoral Commission there. That is why very often reforms in straighten things up. They continue to mess up. And a classical case, now we share parliamentary elections, and yes, NDC won the election convincingly, and Akuffo is a parliamentary seat now. The NDC, I don't know why they allow some of the parliamentary seats to go uncontested. The Ghana, it's okay for him because Obuase, the NDC won that particular seat. But I know the day the Electoral Commission was sad, we saw some of the polling, some of the constituencies. Yes, at the early stages of the election, manipulate and very surprisingly and very interestingly, all the declarations the Electoral Commission did post the earlier declaration at the constituency, say NDC when they are their background, all the results were turned. Almost all the results were turned, including Tema Central, Ebi Bright in the place in as well. Almost all of the results got turned, even though these constituencies had earlier been called out for the NDC in the parliamentary elections. Yes, suddenly Electoral Commission in their transportation, how they did it, how they arrive at those figures, and so forth. We saw police presence and the military presence at some of the stations in Accra Haya. Omofa Kwambi so 10 results. And I am telling you, sir, and Ghana at the time, now people were much interested in the presidential elections. And already Bawumia conceded Mahama Addo or minus here. I'm telling you, Senkoma Wenko Jatom, because of this jokers, Jane Mensah, Bosman Asara, Nene Tetene, Why. So you see, knee-jerk reaction on a year or Maimuha. I didn't favor being a young Joanna Yakwada until another election will come. I'm telling you, sir. We are racing against a very dangerous time ahead. You're very careful. This Electoral Commission way, you're finance a crime, so reforming, just like what is happening in the judiciary. Now you're making sure that we put in place competent people who are of higher moral repute, who have integrity, people who can stand against whatever pressure be able to and make sure say they do the right thing. We would never move anywhere as a country. These electoral commissioners are just jokers. They are just jokers, and you see, they are only doing these things to protect their job. Because don't forget, Ablekuma elections why I can't want to say electoral commission by catching Ghana for say NC that some run or may run Akuma say. The Electoral Commission, Jane Mensah, yes, on an crew for Baba Catcher and say they will never order a rerun in this Ablekuma North election. Namum, the omoye no coalition no omoye no baby omodru no akatre ombeya atwa so no mo declare. That is what they said. This is a state institution that is supposed to be reliable, that is supposed to be trustworthy. They told every Ghanaian, say, they are not going to order a rerun of any elections via Nambum. They will continue to do the audit and declare the elections. That is what they told Ghanaians. So the question is, as an institution, our credibility, they are necessary. And it's a near master and you want to do a turnaround, I think there must be proper explanation. But see, I don't know any sensible explanation that the Electoral Commission has provided. And you understand? So you see, institution and credibility, whether they do rerun or they don't. That is not my interest. My interest on the credibility of these jokers parading themselves as EC commissioners and so forth. Kasa or munim kasa. They don't respect Ghanaians. Taking foolish and dangerous decisions that endanger the prospect of your democracy in this country. And these people can never be left to handle election going forward in this country. You see, we live in the country where people don't have even that sense of dignity. Say, oh, let me bow out. Look at what the Chief Justice, how she's embarrassing herself here and there because they let him go. I'm resigning. It's not part of African man's dictionary. They will hang on till they die. And that is exactly what is playing out at the EC because EC, German Sanin and Crow, when Yama Maya Nadi Akroma saying, we and the more sense of shame. And Kayatwa Banwe Yanka Besin and Communina resign, including that macho mine of freely gone by and amount for free or the Yansa Bibaba kind electoral commissions. How not their crowd there? Wabon Chen will be a very incompetent individual, Kasakro Nim Kasa. And that is the state of the Electoral Commission today. And there is a contention between the NDC and the NPP who to run, who not to run. And if the NPP carries the issue to court, that's their right because the Electoral Commission has proven sufficient to say it is an incompetent institution that poses a very grave danger to our democracy in this country. And for me, the earlier we move in to maybe to revamp this whole thing and make it better, to reset the Electoral Commission, the better for all of us because these jokers cannot continue to be sitting there parading themselves as commissioners when they know nothing about electioneering processes and how to deal with stakeholders involved in as a forum. I don't want to flip to the back pages and bring to memory Nyama Sisi was Akroma, but I think that the Shah issue, Techiman South, they see her last 4 years. Sadia na sensi this year. I did see Techiman South last 4 years, a sensi this year. But you see, because the NDC won the election, had a lot of parliamentary candidates, oh, let it go. But you see, if you do some of these things, and maybe Banomudi Diwa, people will not care much, you understand? So, me, I believe in fairness. Even if I have 1,000, I will fight for the rest if I know, say, it belongs to me. You don't just wave it because you have plenty. And some of these things, I think that going forward, is something that must be looked at critically. And you're making sure, say, electoral process, will produce genuine, authentic, your friends, candidates who actually represent the will of the people, and not to swap or to impose somebody on other people because just to balance whatever. That's exactly what in this case. So the Electoral Commission will be declared officially say Ablekuma South, Ablekuma North, or Babaya rerun. As to whether the actors and the players in it will agree, that is another thing. We're setting a date in the Nema. Matisa the NPP side say on giddy. And the MPPs disagree with the Electoral Commission. This is the first time in the last 8 years. Who say MPP in the Electoral Commission and Yajane. That's who be Babonia Utibidi. Here we are today, but it doesn't change my opinion. I think the Electoral Commission still remains a moribund, incompetent institution full of crooks, and these individuals must be dragged out of the institution and sanitize it. We need to reset the EC and make it credible in the eyes of right-thinking men of society in Ghana. Sebeye an engine betimi power the next electoral phase of our democracy na nema ebeye Jen Mensah, Bosman Asare, Tete, Serebu Kwaku, they all belong to the past. The future we are heading towards, must not include these jokers. We need to drop them. Now you sanitize the EC and make it better. That's my opinion.
Alright, Abushia teachers are waiting some my course to our political hiring such as according to Ivan Chain Innocent, what you say the EC entire staff from Jane Mensah, Bosman Asare, any Chesite Temunina, and say Yetimi Esso almost cry if it's a down for 4 way or Mutime Bomai. 2024 elections na yetwena enye Dr. Mahama Bawumia na chese nyankopon honhom ti sini so na oba abonten ebe concede defeat intentama enka yade a Jane Mensah ebetimi ama oman konkon Ghana penchen anase menteme ho ase esi esan se na Jane Mensah wo figures ne pan so no mbe so beba abonten abedi club ano ama NDC ama yekuna nipa bi se die esi den ene ma ne serve as Electoral Commissioner of Ghana ebusunya Ivan and some other betu jano na ensem no ano de ne papa medum besia na madam asese mo je pene me kutin sama ekoso political highway so POG Media madam asese